Coming up on Mountain News this morning, some bourbon distilleries are doubling down ahead of tariffs that could raise prices for everyone. And a few counties in eastern Kentucky are coming together to help discuss opioid abatement funding.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Lee, here with you on WYMT at 5:30 this beautiful Thursday morning, January 30th. And it's time now to check in with our friend, meteorologist Megan Dusmal, for a look at the forecast. Megan, I know we've been talking about that rain that could be coming out today. And I know I, again, lost my coat. I lose everything apparently. So I went out with just a jacket on. I felt okay, but what should folks bring as they head out the door?
Well, I know that you've forgotten not only your coat and your gloves, but you've also lost your umbrella. And that is definitely something that you need as you head out the door today, is that umbrella, because we do have those rain chances in the forecast. Now, a jacket and a coat is probably a necessity this morning because those temperatures are cold. Let's take a look. We are in the 20s and 30s this morning. Most cities are below freezing. And as we head into the afternoon, we will be warming up, so maybe just a jacket, but I would prefer a rain jacket as we do have those rain chances on their way as well. We're looking in the mid to upper 50s. Now on satellite and radar right now looking quite clear with the exception of the clouds that will be continuing to increase as we head through the next couple hours, and the rain chance will come as we're heading into the noon hour starting around Monticello and moving up to Louisa as we head through the day. Amelia.
All right, Megan, thank you. Stephen Shing, the man who pleaded guilty to the murder of a Kentucky police officer, was sentenced to life without parole. The incident happened back in May of 2023 when Scott County Deputy Caleb Conley was gunned down during a traffic stop on I-75. After he shot Conley, Shing later ended up going to a bar, shooting another man, and then taking his car. At a change of plea hearing yesterday afternoon, Shing also pleaded guilty to assault, robbery, and burglary. We now know the name of the person who was killed in an officer-involved shooting in Rowan County. Thomas Crouch Jr. of Clearfield was the person who was killed. Police were dispatched to a domestic violence call yesterday morning at a home on Buffalo Ranch. When they arrived, an officer fired his weapon, striking Crouch. He died after he was taken to St. Clair Regional Hospital. A Southwest Virginia woman was sentenced for distributing meth. The Lee County Commonwealth's attorney says Linda Hatfield of Jonesville was sentenced to 10 years in the Virginia Penitentiary. Following Hatfield's time behind bars, she will be under supervised probation for at least 5 years. 2 people from Hazard are charged with endangering the welfare of a minor. The incident happened last weekend when police were dispatched to a restaurant parking lot in Pikeville. When police approached the vehicle, they smelled marijuana inside. They discovered Robert McDonald had bloodshot eyes. Sandra Davis told police she was smoking marijuana in the back with 2 children inside. McDonald and Davis were arrested but were released the next day. In Knox County, a man is in jail after police found drugs and paraphernalia with him. Police say they received a report about a suspicious vehicle parked on Gregory Branch Road in Artemis. When people made contact with the suspect, he refused to identify himself. Police later found a syringe and tablets in the vehicle. The suspect was later identified as Tip Miller. Miller was also wanted by police in Sevier County, Tennessee. President Donald Trump says tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada will start soon. The president is pledging 25% tariffs. On February 1st, we could also see retaliatory tariffs like we did in his first term. And this could again hurt the bourbon industry. Kristen Kennedy visited one distillery that is growing regardless of the uncertainty.
We're headed to Warehouse C. So it's one of our oldest warehouses.
Touring Buffalo Trace Distillery today.
We've been building them for about, I guess, 7 or 8 years now.
Looks much different than a decade ago.
Tell me again how many barrels are in this warehouse.
This is about probably 27,000 barrels.
Buffalo Trace is rolling into the new year with a resolution of global expansion.
The demand over there is just as high as it is here. I mean, they're just as interested as all the things we're up to. And they're excited about good bourbon and good whiskey.
What has been the international demand in the last couple of years? Has that grown?
It's continuing to grow. You know, each area that we go into, we have to start basically from scratch and explain, you know, this is a premium whiskey. These are the offerings that we have. If you really like this whiskey, we can do this and that. And so we're basically, you know, kind of starting over in a lot of the different areas.
Harlan Wheatley's been master distiller since 2005. His approach to growth is like his whiskey, slow and smooth. And he credits that approach with Buffalo Trace's growth in a time when competitors are cutting back. Brown-Forman, the parent company of Woodford Reserve, announced earlier this month that they're cutting their workforce more than 10%. They're closing their cooperage in Louisville. Another possible hit, retaliatory tariffs on whiskey when President Trump's tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada kick in.
We're not really speculating, but we're keeping a close eye on that.
Wheatley says tariffs during Trump's first term didn't hurt them. They didn't have a big international market. Trying to expand today internationally in the midst of tariffs could hurt. Sales at home in Kentucky, Wheatley says, are still on the rise.
We're producing more every day, and we're expanding our production to meet the demand, and you should be able to find our products on the shelves a little bit more often. You know, we still hope we sell out, but you know, the idea is wherever you go, you should be able to find some Buffalo Trace.
In Frankfort, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
President Trump is also hinting at hitting China and the European Union with tariffs. He's asking federal agencies to review and assess all trade policies and practices by April 1st. President Trump hinted this week the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, should be dismantled. Some in emergency management in Kentucky tell us they've had bad experiences with FEMA. Others say while changes within the organization are needed, there still needs to be a federal agency that will have boots on the ground after a disaster.
We was repeating the same thing for a month over and over again of taking new FEMA representatives out, showing them the disaster area, and so it was just, you know, we wasn't getting anything accomplished that first month.
It's great to say, oh, we're going to give the money to the state and let them do it, but I don't know that it really makes sense for every single state to have that kind of, you know, enough capacity to assist every natural disaster that might happen. I mean,
Scott McReynolds with the Housing Development Alliance says he believes the maximum amount of federal assistance does need to be increased. An Eastern Kentucky lawmaker filed a bill that would allow teachers and administrators to post and teach about the Ten Commandments in public schools. Lisea Feinstein talked to the lawmaker who filed the bill, who says the emphasis is on permission, not requirement.
A Kentucky lawmaker wants to bring the option of the Ten Commandments to public schools. Under House Bill 116, school boards can give teachers permission to read or post the Ten Commandments at anything school related.
Allows the option, you know, the freedom to be able to share and study it, and they're not required to. I think that is a big difference.
Representative Richard White of Moorhead says unlike other states, schools in Kentucky would not be required to display the Ten Commandments with this bill, just permitted. White says he filed it because he believes the Ten Commandments are a foundation of United States history and the law.
To get the basics of what our country was founded upon and the laws and this structures, I think, a good part of their education.
Supporters of this bill say the commandments are historical, while critics say religious material should stay out of public school.
All civilized nations in the world, really, their morality is based on parts or all of the Ten Commandments, and I think it's an important part of history.
Lisa Feinstein, WSAZ.
Louisiana became the first state to pass a law that required public schools to post the Ten Commandments in schools. That law took effect at the start of this year. We will find out if in February if Kentucky teachers will be allowed the option. One Kentucky lawmaker has filed a bill to invest in vaping prevention. Representative Robert Duvall filed House Bill 187. The measure would establish the Vaping Settlement Trust Fund to administer funds transferred to the Commonwealth due to litigation with Juul Labs, Inc. In a statement, Representative Duval says, quote, vaping is dangerous and has become an epidemic for our youth. We must invest in prevention and cessation programs for our youth and protect the investment through state law. In 2021, the CDC estimated that 45% of Kentucky high schoolers use electronic vapor products, which is higher than the national estimate of 36%. Folks gathered at the Perry County Public Library yesterday to discuss opioid abatement funding. Jamie Mullen-Smith helped organize the event. She says officials with all 8 counties in the Kentucky River District were invited to discuss the use of funds. She says she wants to make sure the funding stays local while building strong foundations to make a difference in eastern Kentucky, especially areas impacted by the opioid crisis.
When we're talking about our 15-year plan, we have a real plan, we have it on paper, we know what we need to get there, and it's just not another large chunk of money that is gone and we don't have a great foundation to build on.
Mullen-Smith says she hopes these conversations will continue into the future. She says the goal yesterday was to build a network of people so conversations about the funding can continue with new opinions. Still to come, preparations are already in place for the Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean the NFL isn't working hard to guarantee your safety.
And I'll tell you why you should bring out your umbrella as you head out the door.